Welcome to the Fantasy Thinker. I'm Jared Quartermatch, and today we're going to be reviewing The Master of White Storm by Janny Wurts. This is a standalone novel that came out in 1992, so prior to her The Wars of Light and Shadow, her magnum opus, her big epic fantasy series. So I'm always fascinated to get into a standalone fantasy novel that was written prior to like somebody's big series, so you can really get a look at how they wrote and how things changed over time, and really get a good sense of their writing prior to taking on such a huge project. And so for this book, Master of White Storm, The Master of White Storm, it details the life and legacy of Corindir. That's the name of the main character. And all we know to start with about this guy is he's got this mysterious past, and he's extremely driven, and he's very skilled. And in this novel, it's very much a character piece that starts with what seem to be episodic adventures, um, and but that quickly tunes us into an overarching story with significant consequences. So I kind of really enjoyed that, like sword and sorcery feel that the book brought to us. That's not in the Wars of Light and Shadow, because that's like a huge epic fantasy. But this had that kind of sword and sorcery feel, and it eventually blends really seamlessly into an epic fantasy tale once again, and it kind of turns our propensity for labeling on its head, really. I mean, I don't like labels, so to me, fantasy is fantasy, and this is fantasy. This is great fantasy. I enjoyed Wurtz's prose once again. No surprise there, right? It's a bit more direct in this novel than in some of her later books, but her ability to craft sentences from the ether of the English language still shines in this earlier work. It really was a pleasure to actively read the words on the page and enjoy the product displayed. I had, it's hard to read this book now on its own merits without acknowledging the themes and the processes that I already know from Wurtz, and I know that she's has mastered in the Wars of Light and Shadow, and so it's hard to separate that out. And should we really? Probably not. I mean, that is her writing, and that's how she writes, and it's just wonderful. You see a bunch of hints. Of the ideas for magic that she will soon create in her big series, starting to formulate here in this novel. But it has its own magic and its own world that's really great. You got the big map of the world here, and she takes us through the paces of the different areas in this world, and it has its own unique cultures and stuff, and it's really pretty in depth for a mere 400-page book. Um, and you also see the antecedents for the intense action that we know she's capable of, and you see that unleashed in here. You see the beginnings of like the deep characterization that we know she's capable of in the Wars of Light and Shadow. You see that here, and she accomplishes it very well. Corindor being the main example, the main character. Like, we really delve into all his stuff, but also some of the other characters, supporting characters. Haldeth, the blacksmith that becomes his friend in the beginning, kinda. He's the kind of friend that you want, but they don't always get along, which is good. Like I said, lots of great characterization there, um, and I loved how just certain elements reacted with various creatures in here. The imagination of the creatures that were in here. There's nothing in here that's not unique to this world and this situation. I love how how like stoic the main character is. He would rather face death head on than worry about the death that sneaks up from behind, and he uses his wits to solve conflict just as much as he uses his sword. And several times he really had to stare in the face of madness, and each time the scars of those encounters stuck with him, and really stay with us as we're reading through the novel. As in all of Wurtz's works I've read so far, with many more to come, the ending was very satisfying. It had a solid conclusion, yet still left you enough to wonder about the possibilities. A direct line from the book that doesn't give anything away. It says, ending did not happen with such clean simplicity. And indeed, nor should they. So once again, the Master of Whitestorm, Janny Wurts. A nice little masterpiece of a novel. Self-contained, only 400 pages. Uh, Pick it up, whenever you can. It doesn't take that long to get through, and it's a very enjoyable read. And so, that's all for today. Once again, be good to each other, and thank you.